The USS Gravely comes to Wilmington for commissioning. I'm Jeff Smith. I'll take you aboard coming up next.
Quality public television is made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC TV.
Welcome to the USS Gravely. I'm Jeff Smith, and we're here at the State Port in Wilmington, North Carolina, where this ship was commissioned. Coming up, we'll take you on board and show you what this ship can do, as well as who this ship is named after. The day starts on the pre-commissioned unit Gravely as the sun is still trying to rise to the sky. This DDG-107 Aegis-class destroyer is the newest and most expensive destroyer ever built by the United States Navy. It is loaded with the most high-tech tools and weapons available today.
Gravely, being an Aegis destroyer, is built from the keel up to fight. Okay, from the electrical distribution system to the combat system itself to the engineering plant, the engines, the gas turbine engines, the steering gear, as you mentioned, everything is redundant in nature so that regardless of a system degradation, we can continue to fight this ship.
Captain Douglas Kunzman is the commanding officer of the Gravely. He and Executive Officer Michael Witherspoon each have over 20 years of experience in the Navy. But on this ship, there are more fresh faces and new tasks to experience.
It's a brand new ship named after an American hero, and it's a brand new crew where approximately about 140 of my 270 sailors do not have any sea experience at all operating aboard a vessel of this type.
Bridge has control, all engines ahead. Standard for 14 knots, bridge has control.
It is not necessarily the ship that's the challenge. The majority of our sailors are young men and women who just joined the Navy from all over this country. I would say 70% of our sailors are brand new and just joined the Navy. That part has been tougher than the actual physical ship itself because we got to train them from scratch. We have to take them out and show them how to operate this $2 billion warship.
With so many fresh crew members to bring up to speed on board the ship, most days are filled with drills and practice runs for anything and everything that can happen on board the Gravely.
Take charge. Line them up. Get this ball walk down. Take the nets down first.
So my most important role after safely operating this ship is to teach all these sailors, officers, chiefs, and also young enlisted sailors how to fight Gravely so that we can take this ship into combat if necessary and return from that with all the sailors on board.
One drill that all ships continue to try to perfect is the man overboard drills.
Man overboard, port side. Man overboard, port side.
Right full rudder, all engines ahead full.
Right full rudder, all ahead, full wide.
Of course, on a ship the size of Gravely, it's not easy to just stop and back up to pick up the sailor in the water. To turn this 510-foot ship around at full speed, which exceeds 30 knots, you better be hanging on to something or you'll be joining your shipmate in the water.
Stand by for heavy rolls as the ship comes about.
After a long day of training and drills, this crew can work up an appetite. That's where the ship's culinary department steps in to prepare 3 regular meals a day for the crew. In order to get all of these men and women fed in an orderly manner, the culinary staff must make sure they have everything they need on board. To do that, the Navy has a logistical system in place with all of its ships around the world.
We've had to communicate with all our shore-based facilities that send out the food ships, and we do underway replenishments, which is a challenge. And the biggest thing now is we have to keep a certain amount of food on board, normally 30 days. And feeding this crew is a challenge because of the different tastes, the different ethnic backgrounds. It's challenging, so that's why the Navy had their standard core menu. So we prepare it this way, and we have the condiments on the table, and then the patron can season and taste it to his liking.
Like with the need for more food, the Gravely is able to replenish itself with all necessities while underway.
We have the ability to tie up alongside of one of our supply ships, what we call oilers, logistics ships, and to be able to take on fuel, take on supplies, fresh fruits and vegetables, and to be able to helo on mail and cargo.
At the end of the day, the crew of the USS Gravely have successfully trained, been fed, and taken this high-tech warship through its paces. While the sailors may get rest tonight, There's always a possible threat awaiting them tomorrow, which is why everyone on board depends on Captain Kunzman to have them ready to defend their ship.
My responsibility to make sure that this crew is well trained and the ship is able to fight. That is my top priority, and that's why you see so much effort on my part to make sure that all the way from the bridge, the officers that are driving the ship, to the navigating this ship, to those down in combat that essentially will push the button to defend this ship, are well trained and able to execute that without even thinking about it. Because if they're trained right, they will fight right.
Starboard engine ahead 2/3.
Starboard engine ahead 2/3 aye.
When you look at this sailor steering the ship, you probably don't realize how special this is.
Starboard engine ahead 2/3.
This crew member is able to do this job thanks to his hard work and proving himself. But he and every other minority on board this ship has someone to thank for breaking down the racial barriers of the Navy.
I can't tell you how proud I am to be part of this. It is bigger than anything that I could ever imagine. The lives that Admiral Gravely touched, it transcends even at this time with him no longer being with us.
Me, especially as an African American woman, it means a lot because he truly made the way for us. Because of what he did, I'm able to be here today.
Samuel L. Gravely Jr. began his naval career in 1942, where he first enlisted in the Naval Reserves. By 1943, he had been selected to begin the V-12 program to be trained as a naval officer. On December 14, 1944, Gravely had completed his training and was the first African American to be commissioned from the Navy Reserve Officer Training Course. Still, Gravely was not trying to break new ground as a minority just to prove a point, according to his wife, Alma Gravely.
Oh, of course not. No. I don't think it ever entered into his mind. He had goals, yes, and he knew what he would like to do, but no, it wouldn't. I don't think that ever entered into his mind that I'm going to be the first black officer.
Gravely continued to break down the barriers of minorities, becoming the first African American to command a U.S. Navy warship and then a warship under combat conditions. He was the first to command a major naval warship as well. In 1971, Gravely became the first African American admiral. He wasn't done with first yet. Admiral Gravely was the first African American to command a U.S. fleet after he took charge of the Navy's 3rd Fleet. And now, the DDG-107 is named in the Admiral's honor.
Neither one of us, through the years working on towards Admiral as he ultimately did, ever expected that there would be a ship named for him and a school named for him. But we are just overjoyed and feel very, very honored. And I know that he would be saying, I can't believe they built a ship in my name. That's the kind of guy he was.
The integration of African Americans was a huge milestone for the Navy. And I think it's made the Navy better overall, having minorities, having females, having African Americans. It just brings diversity to the table and provides different viewpoints on certain issues, and it makes us better overall, a better military and better people.
All throughout the ship, there are photographs like these that remind sailors and all that come on board what the Admiral was able to accomplish.
Just with that namesake alone, it gives everyone on board that idea of hope that they can become and that they have the potential to become greater than where they are, whether that's a gender issue or whether that's an E1 rising up in the ranks. They have that hope. Just because Admiral Gravely did it, so can they.
As the ship's sponsor, Mrs. Gravely continues to be a mentor to the crew.
She's amazing. She keeps calling her, she says she's our grandma, and I really do feel that way. She has a lot of love to give. Every
sailor on board this ship, they've had the unique opportunity to meet Mrs. Gravely, who I can tell you is a fantastic woman. The Admiral still lives within her. I think sometimes when I stand next to her and I talk to her, and I look down at her shadow, I can see shoulder bores and a garrison cover. And she's the Admiral's image and his entity is still with us. While Mrs. Gravely was at the christening ceremony of the ship in Mississippi, she didn't take her first steps on board the ship, named in her late husband's honor, until Wilmington, North Carolina, on the day before commissioning.
I got about halfway up there, and I said, oh, what a wonderful thing. And I talked to my husband going up there. I said, honey, I'm walking up the gangplank onto your ship. And I know you're with me every step of the way.
She is a phenomenal lady. She is like the mother or grandmother to every sailor on the ship, and I tell her repetitively that because of her leadership, because of her friendship, and because of how she treats the crew and reacts to the crew, she has made my job so much easier. So the namesake, the family, you bring all that together with the technology on this ship and a young, motivated crew, and I've got a winning combination, and it's a joy to lead it.
Now the USS Gravely continues to prepare for its future service, a service that is dedicated to the high level of accomplishments that Admiral Gravely achieved throughout his 38-year career.
Prepare to heave around, to heave in, and then order positive pitch to slowly approach the anchor chain until it bears up and down.
Women in the military is not a new phenomenon, but the Navy is still growing into having both female enlisted, chiefs, and officers serving on board vessels.
This is my second ship. My first ship was actually all male except for officers. There was only about 5 or 6 females on board my first ship, so this is actually a new experience for me, working with the female enlisted.
The sailors on board the USS Gravely are a mixed gender crew. Other ships throughout the past decade have transitioned into having men and women serving together. Still, Admiral Gravely played a major role in the expansion of the Navy's regulations on race and gender, and the Admiral's wife is proud that women have been able to serve.
In the beginning, I wondered about it because being a female myself, I didn't think I would want to do it. But they did it, and we've even had a black female captain of a ship. So they seem to be just falling right in place. And I hope that it will always stay that way, since that is what they want to do. It's not for me, but for those who want to do it, I'm all for it.
I think for the most part, today's Navy's used to that. It's never been an issue. All the sailors are very respectful, and they follow my orders as they would a male officer.
Females on board are doing the same jobs that men are. They're your culinary specialists, they're your operations specialists, they're running the engineering plants, they're running the fire control systems on board, so they're doing the exact same jobs that men are, and they're rising up in the ranks.
Even the Gravely's third in command, Command Master Chief Maddie Wells, is an African-American female. Other officers are glad to see such a high number of women on board.
It has its challenges at times, being a female on board, although Gravely does have 30% female, so we are definitely well integrated. Coming from a frigate on my last ship, there were only 2 female officers on board the entire ship. So I think this is a much better working environment having 30% female. It has its challenges at times, but overall we integrate very well.
It's also a good thing, you know, knowing that you have other females on the ship, and if you need to talk to somebody about something, you'll feel more comfortable if you're a female talking to a female other than a male about it. So it goes pretty well.
Now, throughout a ship like this, there's not many signs to show that it's a mixed gender besides the actual personnel involved, but there are certain signs to keep people out of the sleeping quarters.
Because we have 6 berthing units on board, 2 of which are female, we don't normally have too many people forgetting where they live, so that's not an issue.
Life on board a ship is not an easy one, no matter your gender. Each sailor who comes aboard the Gravely knows this and is prepared to do their job.
It is not an easy job. People are standing watch all night long hours. You clean, you cook, you're standing watch. It's just a continuous, and without that family support, without that email, without that phone call, without knowing that they're safe at home, and knowing that there's somebody back there that's looking out for you, looking out for the family, and taking care of you, it becomes very, very difficult.
Working hard and rising through the ranks is what Admiral Gravely stood for, and exactly what these women expect to do in their careers.
It's not going to be too long before you see one of the females maybe here on the ship. They'll be in the captain's chair someday.
Absolutely, you're looking at her.
Are you going to be a captain someday?
Someday, sir. That's my plan.
The ship that sails before us is fresh off the naval assembly line with all the latest and greatest bells and whistles available to Captain Kunzman and his crew. The sailors of the USS Gravely have been taking their ship out to sea to test each of the systems that were put into place, many of which are much more sophisticated than their predecessors.
We do have an advanced radar system that's a little bit different in our surface search capability. That's a little different than what you'll see on most ships in this particular class. And for the most part, we do have a couple of weapons upgrades that we get picked if we were the one that got sent into harm's way.
One of the most advanced and impressive upgrades from previous destroyers is the Combat Systems Department.
As a sonar tech, I basically hunt for submarines. And that's my big job. That's the most important part of my job is hunt for submarines. So, and that entails, sitting at a console or just basically that's it. Sitting in the console for submarines, searching the ocean, look for people, look for the bad guy. That's it. Look for the bad guy.
Christopher Sims is just one of the sailors who are stationed within the Combat Systems Control Room, which is located several floors below the bridge. As a sonar technician, he reports to the combat officers to alert of any threats against the Gravely. The continuous readiness can equal high stress, so the crew has multiple sailors who do the same job in shifts.
It all depends on our condition of readiness. Sometimes it can be maybe like port and start, which means stay on for maybe 6 hours, be off for 6 hours, or it could be in maybe 3 or 4 sessions where we stand for like 4 or 5 hours here, 4 or 5 hours there.
To fight off enemy attacks, the Gravely has multiple defense systems in place as well.
Well, that's the best thing about an Aegis destroyer and the Aegis weapon system is it brings all of the capabilities into one combat suite and enables us to counter, defend, and also offensively attack any threat out there. That's subsurface submarines, that's surface contacts, that's air contacts, and also intel collection and other things that come to play in letting the commander or letting the battle group or letting the strike group make a decision on how best to either defensively or offensively use this platform in defense of a battle group or strike group.
One weapon you don't expect to find on a destroyer can be found right here in these tubes. These are over-the-side torpedoes used to fight off other ships and submarines.
We have the capability to land just about any type of helicopter, but the ship is designed to carry 2 SH-60 Bravo helicopters, which are primarily a submarine, anti-submarine platform that extends our ability to combat submarines over the horizon. It gives us a lot longer reach than just our systems that are inherent to the ship itself.
Ship Supply Officer Jennifer Stevens is in charge of the Gravely's flight deck operations. She communicates with the helicopter pilots who wish to land on board. During the ship's first underway helo ops, her primarily rookie crew on board the ship is learning how to safely maneuver around the deck while the helicopter, also training new co-pilots, attempts day and night landings.
I was a little nervous. It's been about 5 years since I've actually done any helo ops, and all this equipment is brand new. The first ship I was on was actually 41 years old. It was one of the oldest ships that was still in commission at the time. So all the equipment on that ship was very antiquated. Everything on here is brand spanking new, top of the line. So getting used to using that equipment was a little bit of a challenge, but found the rhythm coming back pretty easy once we got started.
The practice landings are a success, but the operation did point out some minor equipment issues that need attention.
Most of it's minor. Maybe just for example, the box that we use to talk to the helicopter is located down here. I'm sitting here, have to continually reach back and forth to try to maintain communications with them.
Being able to safely land and take off helicopters from the Gravely is important because they act as an additional set of eyes and weapon system for Captain Kunzman.
The most difficult thing for myself as a CO to do, and that is to properly identify a contact as either friend or foe. Because I don't want to shoot a friend, I only want to shoot a foe. So any bit of information that can give increase my situational awareness so that I'm able to identify it as an enemy or potential enemy gives me a leg up, gives me a higher degree of confidence in what we're doing and what I'm doing and the decisions I'm making. The helicopter does that for me in so many ways.
The small boats that are stationed on the port side of the ship are designed to do multiple missions. First, they can transport crew and supplies to and from the Gravely. And secondly, they are used in training to see how quickly the combat systems can observe a small craft approaching the ship and how the gunners will prevent an attack. Each drill teaches the new sailors what to expect, and seasoned sailors use them to see what needs to be improved. But all in all, most of the Gravely crew says they are enjoying their new ship.
You're going to find little items here and there that need fixing, but it's amazing to be the first. You're going to be the first to use your office, the first to drive the ship, the first to walk these passageways.
Just the fact that it's brand new, we get to basically establish a ship from ground level, kind of tailor it, you know, make it your own. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that.
With all the technologically advanced features of the Gravely, this ship will truly set the bar for future DDG-class destroyers in the Navy.
It's history in the making, and we are walking, living, breathing history.
Now that the ship has made its way to Wilmington, it's time for commissioning.
Today, Wilmington and southeastern North Carolina's history and heritage with the U.S. Navy and our armed forces add another chapter to a long and storied commitment to our servicemen and women, the freedoms we all cherish, and the spirit we all share of duty and country. From the naval blockade runners at the mouth of the Cape Fear River to the North Carolina battleship docked here, the most decorated ship of World War II, to the USS North Carolina just 2.5 years ago at this very dock that we commissioned, and now today for this very special occasion to celebrate.
We're here to welcome this mighty warship, named in honor of a leader, a role model, a surface warfare officer, a trailblazer who also enjoyed doing the job he loved. This commissioning enables us to pay special tribute and remember the many contributions to Admiral Gravely that he made to the Surface Force, the Navy, and every African American wearing the uniform, past, present, and future.
The crowd at Pier 6 on the state port of Wilmington was spotted with Navy veterans and family members, as many of the top commanders of the service paid tribute to Samuel Gravely Jr. and the guided missile destroyer that is now named in his honor.
The long glass is the traditional symbol of an officer of the deck's authority and a ship of the line. We are honored to have Mr. David Gravely with us today to assist in setting our first watch. Set the watch. On deck, section 1.
Sir, the watch is set.
Some sailors change the Navy by inventing a new machine or executing a great naval campaign. Some sailors, like Vice Admiral Gravely, change the Navy by giving us access to the full depth and breadth of American talent by cutting us free from the shackles of discrimination and inequality.
Admiral Gravely was an ordinary man who did his job well. He didn't wake up one morning and look in the mirror and said, wow, I'm going to be the first black admiral. His success was hard-earned, well-deserved, and yes, sometimes painful. But for his sacrifices, high standards, and achievements, we will be forever grateful.
Wherever this ship sails, this ship will honor his legacy of excellence, of service, and of perseverance. And it will stand as an example to all who wear this uniform, to all who see the ship, of what a man can do who stands as an example of courage in war and of courage in life.
Admiral Gravely passed away in 2004 after a long and distinguished career in the Navy. His wife, Alma, is the ship's sponsor, and she brought the crowd to its feet as she called upon USS Gravely sailors to make the ship ready for service.
Officers and crew of the USS Gravely, man our ship and bring her to life.
Admiral Roughhead, United States ship Gravely is in commission, and I am in command.
Captain Douglas Kunzman is the commanding officer of the Gravely. His family also took part in the ceremony. That's Derek Kunzman, Captain Kunzman's son, handling the flyover. The captain also included his Navy family, the 275-plus sailors and officers who will call Gravely their home.
In my 30 years of naval service, I've never met a finer group of sailors. Their heart is defined by their attitude and their effort. The crew that surrounds you today not only represents this country's best and brightest, it represents this country's heart. They are not common sailors. They have endured a grueling pace to bring Gravely before you and complete the pre-commissioning process faster than any destroyer to date.
Captain Kunzman says he admires what Admiral Gravely was able to accomplish in his career in the Navy and throughout his life. The captain hopes to carry on the Admiral's traditions of hard work and high ethics on board the Gravely, a job that Captain Kunzman says is both the hardest and easiest jobs to have.
The easiest because his legacy, his sacrifice and vision is so clear to me that it provides constant direction and inspiration to myself and my crew. My leadership is modeled by his example. It is the hardest because this crew does not want to let him or you down. Every time we walk the brow and salute the flag, we do it in memory of him and his sacrifice. Mrs. Gravely, this crew will carry the Gravely flag with honor and pride. We will not let you down.
I hope you've enjoyed your time aboard the USS Gravely. For more information, you can log on to unctv.org. Thanks for watching.
Quality public television is made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC TV.